Welcome to TNT Sports Talk. Today is Thursday, September 13th. As always, I'm your host, Travis Korcheski, and this is presented by D's Home Cuts, like every single show. We have a pretty big show today. It's not just going to be me talking for the next hour. I know that can get a little tiring, especially for me. We're doing something a little bit different. We're going to have Brian Leonard on. He actually called in yesterday, and we went through each NFL game, and gave our picks. So that's going to be coming on a little bit later in the show. I want to get through a couple of these headlines before then. And then obviously we got some basketball talk, we got some baseball talk, we got some questions submitted in, and then we got a couple segments that we wanted to do. Got a couple good stories that we wanted to talk about. But let's just get right into it. We got college football week 3 coming up. This is the last week of Urban Meyer's suspension. Ohio State's taking on their biggest opponent yet, though, with TCU. So we're just going to go down. I got 4 key games here to watch for on Saturday. I get it. It can be a little overwhelming trying to watch every single game, trying to keep up with all the action. But there's 4 games that you really should be watching just because, either it's 2 top 25 ranked teams, or you want to see how a different program does, or whatever. So I think one of the biggest matchups this weekend, obviously, like I said, TCU, Ohio State, a 15 versus a 4 seed. This is Ohio State. This is Dwayne Haskins' first opportunity to really go against a top 25, top 15 ranked program. This is a huge opportunity for the Ohio State Buckeyes to really prove their new offense, I guess you could say. And this is a good chance for Ryan Day to really prove that he can coach against some top-tier competition. Because TCU is no slouch. They're no Rutgers. They're no Oregon State. They're no Tulane, which Ohio State has next week. So this is going to be a big opportunity for Ryan Day to really, put a top 15 win against a top 15 program on his coaching record and resume, which he will be using in the offseason when he's going to get those coaching offers, because he is going to get coaching offers, especially if he wins this game and, keeps Ohio State at 3-0 for Urban Meyer's return next week. So it's going to be interesting because there's a lot of people, this is an opportunity for a lot of people on the Ohio State football program to prove themselves. Because, like I said, this is no Rutgers, this is no Oregon State, this is a top program. TCU's played really well over the last couple years. So, like I said, ranked 15th. This is the opportunity for Ohio State to really prove themselves as the top-tier program in the country. Next game, we got Auburn versus LSU. LSU has been kind of a surprise this year. Auburn took down Washington last week, the first week, sorry. And LSU has been a team that's kind of shot up the rankings, especially with Ohio State's former quarterback Joe Burrow at the helm there. So this is a huge opportunity for Auburn and LSU to really prove themselves. Auburn getting 2 wins in the top 25 is huge for them. And it's going to be a great opportunity for them to really prove themselves. Both have an opportunity to really prove themselves in the college football atmosphere. Especially, we're waiting for those playoffs to those first playoff rankings to really start to come out. Another game I wanted you guys to watch is Arizona State and San Diego State. Herm Edwards, head coach at Arizona State, everybody was kind of making fun of it, saying it was a bad hire, just like one of those hires that, just kind of creates some, buzz in the media, even though it's really not going to do that well because Herm Edwards wasn't really that good of a coach. But he has really turned it around. He's turned Arizona State around. They're 2-0. They beat Michigan State last week. And this is a huge opportunity to really solidify himself, as a good coach, really put himself right there, put Arizona State right there in the top 20 rankings. San Diego State is not a bad program. They're going to give Arizona State a pretty good matchup. And then the last game I wanted to talk about, USC and Texas. USC is ranked 22. Texas is unranked. This is a big game for Tom Herman and his Texas Longhorns because they've blown it the last couple weeks. They've really not come out and started the way I think anybody expected them to start. So this is finally an opportunity for them to really right the ship, I guess you could say. And, I don't think they're going to be a playoff team, but it could be a way to get them back into the top 25 and really start to, get some momentum going in the right direction for Texas and its program. USC, too. Texas is a good win. It's a good non-conference win on their schedule. and it's going to really help them out come bowl season if they get this win versus Texas. Because Texas, like I said, they've had a bad season so far, but they're no slouch of a program. It's a respectable, impressive win that you really want on your resume come bowl season. So other than that, those are the 4 games I'm watching. Like I said, there's a lot of games suspended due to, the hurricane coming through, but there is a lot of action going on this weekend. A lot of, top programs are facing some, weaker opponents, still trying to get back into the swing of things. But teams like Ohio State, TCU, Auburn, LSU, they're all playing ranked opponents. It's going to be a fun weekend in college football. Transitioning now to the NFL, we got Brian's and mine's picks coming up in a little bit here, but I wanted to go through a couple of the headlines. A couple of week 1 injuries that I kind of wanted to talk about. Some pretty major stuff that went down. Obviously with Joey Bosa in San Diego. I guess he's week to week now. I expect him to miss a couple more weeks. The Chargers are one of those teams where they really need to, if they were to stay healthy, they would be a top NFL team, but they just cannot stay healthy for the life of them. Obviously, Hunter Henry went down. Jason Verrett's had injuries. And now Joey Bosa, who is their best defensive player right alongside Casey Hayward. This team really needs Bosa to be healthy because when Bosa's healthy, he is a top pass rusher, top 10 defensive player easily in the NFL. He was in Green Bay yesterday visiting a specialist on his foot, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens from there. Moving on with foot injuries, I guess ankle, Delanie Walker out for the season. I guess he dislocated his ankle, hurt it up pretty bad. This is a huge blow to the Tennessee Titans because Delanie Walker is a solid Pro Bowl caliber tight end, and he's one of Mariota's favorite targets. Now somebody's going to have to step up. I think this is a prove-it year for Mariota, and it's going to get even harder without your favorite target in Delanie Walker. Guys like Corey Davis, Sharp, who they got? Deion Lewis out of the backfield, I believe. Guys like that are going to have to step up, or we're going to find out if they're going to be able to step up or step back. Same with Mariota. Losing a guy like Walker hurts a lot, and it's going to really affect them if guys can't step up and really right the ship. Then my guy Aaron Rodgers, he's still trying to come back from that knee sprain, I guess is what they're calling it now, that he suffered on Sunday night. My guess, he hasn't practiced at all this week. He didn't practice the last couple days. He's just been rehabbing. But they said, I think Coach McCarthy said it yesterday, that it doesn't matter how much Aaron Rodgers practices this week. If he's ready to go in Minnesota, he's going to play. And I highly doubt Aaron Rodgers misses this game because, as you know, Minnesota was the team that knocked him out last year, Anthony Barr. I'm sure Packer fans have nightmares of that play, Anthony Barr sacking Aaron Rodgers and then Martellus Bennett dropping that pass on that play. The Packers finally get a shot because I think Packer fans all agree that we're better than the Vikings. The only problem is we haven't really been able to go against this new look Vikings since without Aaron Rodgers being healthy or stuff like that. So my bet is Aaron Rodgers is going to play. He said he was going to play on Sunday night after the game, so we'll see what happens. Last injury, Pharaoh Cooper, the Pro Bowl kick returner last year for the Rams, was placed on the IR with an ankle injury. He can return after 8 weeks, I believe. That's what they placed him on. So that's a big blow to them, but they'll obviously get him back soon. And he's more of a kick returner. That's something you can easily replace, especially now with the new kickoff rules, and there's not that many kickoffs being taken out. So that's it for the injuries. One more minor headline. Jonathan Hankins was probably the last. No, I'm going to take that back. Eric Reed's probably the last. Jonathan Hankins was one of the 2 best free agents still available. It boggled my mind that he never got signed in the offseason because he had a great season with the Giants. Then he went to sign with the Colts. The Colts didn't really run the type of system that he could fit in and thrive in. So he got cut after 1 year. But he came in, he had a quiet offseason, and he's able to sign with the Raiders. I guess it's a little bit biased because he is an Ohio State alum. But I think that's a good signing for the Raiders. He's a good defensive lineman. He's pretty good. He's pretty solid, and I'm surprised they were able to pick him up this late. It's really going to help them out, especially the Raiders. I think they need a lot of talent, a lot more talent than they can a lot more talent than they can handle right now because this roster is looking rough. But that's it right there. We're going to transition now into Brian's interview. Like I said, it was over the phone. There is a point towards the end, I forget which game it was, that the audio got a little bit screwed up. When you record a phone call for that long with the software we use, it can kind of get a little screwy. But it sounds good, and we asked him a little bit about the Bears game. He wouldn't comment much on it as much as I tried to push it. But other than that, enjoy these picks. It's going to be an exciting week 2. When we get back from the injury, we'll start with baseball and basketball.
All right. So we now welcome on Bears fan Brian Leonard. We were able to drag him out of his bed after that crazy Sunday night game, but we're not going to talk about it. He didn't want to comment on it, and that's okay. We understand. But we're going to go down each NFL game. We'll give our predictions. So you ready, Brian?
Of course, absolutely.
All right. Let's start with Thursday's game, Baltimore and Cincinnati. This is an interesting game because they both had pretty good week 1s. Brian?
I think this is going to be a very close game. Cincinnati's favored by only half a point. Mm-hmm. And like you just said, Travis, both these teams performed very well their first week. But then again, Baltimore was also playing the Bills, which barely is an NFL team. Sure. So I think Baltimore will win. I think Flacco will just continue to prove that he's an elite quarterback.
Okay, so you're going to go Baltimore?
I'm going to go Baltimore, yeah.
Cincinnati looked really good, though, against the Colts. But I'll probably go Baltimore, too. I think Baltimore's going to win this division.
I think that Baltimore's defense is good enough to stop Joe Mixon, or at least, stop Joe Mixon enough to beat them.
Yeah, I can see that. All right, so we're both going Baltimore in that game. All right, let's go to Sunday. The first game, Carolina and Atlanta.
All right, after much debate on this, I am going to take Carolina. I think that Atlanta will I think their offense will look terrible. I think Matt Ryan will look really bad. I think that Steve Sarkisian is going to ruin the Falcons single-handedly. Wow. I know that's really bold, but I believe that Kyle Shanahan kind of made Matt Ryan. And,
I agree with that.
And I think that Matt Ryan is going to fall apart. Especially, I seriously have no idea how Steve Sarkisian is in the NFL as a coordinator. So,
yeah. I mean, this dude failed in college, and he came out and got an offensive coordinator job in the NFL, and that team's looked bad. And they lost Keanu O'Neal and Deion Jones over last week. So I'll probably go Carolina, too. I like Carolina. I like Cam Newton.
Yeah, I agree.
So we're both going Carolina. All right, let's do the Chargers versus Buffalo. This is interesting because it will be Josh Allen's first start. Does that change anything?
That does not change anything at all. I think that, I don't know, I was strongly against Josh Allen to begin with, him ever even being a first-round pick, or at least a high first-round pick.
Yeah.
I mean, he had below a 60% completion rate in college, so that's not exactly promising. And the Bills just overall are they're just a mess. They're just a terrible football team.
I said last show they're going to be the first pick this year. You think that's going to be true?
Yeah, I genuinely think that there's a strong chance that the Bills go 0-16 this year. They're very close to 0-16. So,
all right, we're both going Chargers then.
Yes, definitely Chargers.
All right, let's go to the next game. NFC North matchup: Packers versus Vikings. I think you know where I'm going to lean towards this, Brian. What are your thoughts?
I can't believe I'm about to say this, but they're favored by 1 point. They're in Green Bay, that's obviously helpful to the Packers, despite the fact that Aaron Rodgers is only going to have one good leg this week. I still think, Green Bay still has Aaron Rodgers, and despite the fact that I don't think that the Bears defense is as good as the Vikings, I still think that they're a pretty good defense, and the fact that he did what he did to the Bears last week, I think they will overcome the Vikings. So
Yeah, and I know Rodgers really wants to win this game because obviously the Vikings knocked him out last year. So it's kind of his revenge game. So both go Packers there. Next game, let's go Browns and Saints. Do the Browns finally break, that streak of not really winning anything in this game?
I do not think. I think that the Browns will win a few games this year, but this week is not going to be their first win. New Orleans lost to the.
About 40 points. Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, exactly. That's like what I was about to say. So the New Orleans Saints just gave up like 48 points to Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I think that they are going to be very angry about that, and they're going to come out week one and pretty much kill the Browns. Well, actually, I think the Browns defense will look halfway decent against the high-powered Saints offense, but I don't think Cleveland's going to have any offense once again. They don't have an offensive line.
Yeah, that's true. That left tackle situation's a little rough there in Cleveland.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go Saints. It's at home versus the Saints, too, so I don't think that game. All right, Jets and the Dolphins. Sam Darnold looks good.
What a matchup. What a matchup. The Miami Dolphins and the Jets.
Sammy
I'm sorry, what?
Sammy the Savior.
Oh my gosh. I think that Ryan Tannehill is terrible. Or I shouldn't say he's terrible, he's just really, really mediocre. Miami as a team is just, like, I don't know. Miami sucks, in my opinion. But the Jets at least have like a halfway decent run game with Bilal Powell and Isaiah Crowell. And they have they have a decent defense as well. And I think they can lean on both of those. And, I don't think that Sam Darnold is quite necessarily he's like the savior yet, but he looked good last week. So you're going to take the Jets.
I'm going to go Dolphins here. I like Ryan Tannehill. I like him a lot more than I think you do. And I think he's going to prove you wrong on Sunday.
You're crazy.
All right.
Miami is a mess. They're just a little bit better than the Bills, in my opinion.
Okay, well, they beat the Titans.
The Titans are next. Exactly. Powerhouse.
All right, let's go
team
next.
Right now.
Kansas City versus Pittsburgh. That Pittsburgh 1:00.
I think this should be a really interesting game. Pittsburgh is favored by 5 points.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, I think that Patrick Mahomes looked really, I know it's only week one. It's like recency bias and stuff like that. But Pat Mahomes last week, he is a cannon. I couldn't believe some of the throws he made were just ridiculous. And compared to Big Ben and the amount of turnovers he had, where do you have 5?
Yeah.
5 turnovers. And then there were also in the red zone specifically, Kansas City had these cool little pitch option plays that they ran. Mm-hmm. And I don't think the Chargers had no idea how to defend that, and I think it's going to be very difficult for anyone to even game plan for and to defend. So I'm going to take Kansas City over Pittsburgh, even though I think it's going to be very close.
I really like Pat Mahomes too. This Chiefs have a pretty sneaky offense, pretty sneaky good offense.
They have a lot of talent.
Yeah, they got Kelsey, Hunt. Tyreek Hill looked like an MVP candidate on Sunday.
He's so fast. He's ridiculous.
We're going to go Chiefs. Let's go to the next game, Philadelphia and Tampa Bay. Does Fitzpatrick make another great week, make another great case for him to be the starter there in Tampa?
I think that Philadelphia will continue to slump, and I think that they're going to Tampa Bay has a pretty solid front seven, and I think they're going to make Philadelphia look pretty bad. And I think that Fitzmagic will continue, and Tampa Bay will win.
Tampa?
Yeah, I'm going Tampa.
So then what does the Buccaneers do come week 3 when Jameis Winston comes back?
I think that Jameis Winston is about a year or so away from being out of the NFL, in my opinion.
Wow.
So I think that
some strong takes on some quarterbacks, Brian.
Jameis Winston's not good. Let's face it.
Yeah.
And he is. I remember watching him on Hard Knocks 2 years ago, and he looks like he's an idiot as well. So, and his all of his like criminal, I don't know, just like he's had a lot of issues with his whole like personal life as well off the field. So I don't know. I think that Ryan Fitzpatrick will somehow become the starting quarterback in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Even after Jameis comes back.
I like that upset. I like Tampa Bay in this game. I like Fitzpatrick, but if Fitzpatrick, I mean, he's either going to be really good or really bad. If he's really good, they'll win, but if he's himself, I think they'll lose this game. Let's go Houston and Tennessee. Deshaun Watson didn't look great on Sunday, but they were playing the Patriots, and it was week 1. Tennessee also had that, huge rain delay. Who do you like in this game?
I am 100% going with Houston because, for starters, Delaney Walker is out for the season. I think he's like a broken ankle or something like that. And he is like Marcus Mariota's best target, in my opinion. And also Marcus Mariota I think he's like a little banged up right now, isn't he? I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know if is he playing?
I'm not sure yet. I don't even know if the Titans know yet. But
yeah.
I do not think that Tennessee is going to be winning this game.
Yeah, I like Houston. I think Deshaun Watson is going to be better. Tyrann Mathieu played really well last week for them. We'll go Houston in this game. But Tennessee is interesting because we really didn't get to see them, at their full strength because of the whole lightning thing on Sunday. All right, let's go Indianapolis and Washington. This is an interesting game.
I couldn't believe this when I saw this at the bottom of my TV this past weekend. I saw by the end of the end of the Colts game that Andrew Luck had thrown the ball 53 times.
Yeah.
And Andrew Luck missed like over 600 days of like any football activity with a shoulder injury. And then they threw him out there in week 1 and threw the ball 53 times. And his longest pass was for 26 yards too. So like, I don't even know how strong Andrew Luck's arm is anymore, unfortunately. I don't know. Maybe that's just like a fluke that his longest pass was just for 26 yards, but he did throw the ball 53 times. So I'm going to go with Washington. They looked pretty good last week. Alex Smith looks like, I don't know. I think Alex Smith is pretty good. So.
All right. I'll take Washington too. I think they look good. I think the Colts defense is not much better than the Cardinals defense. I think the Cardinals defense is actually better. And I like some of the weapons, especially Adrian Peterson. He played well on Sunday, so we'll see what happens there. Rams and Cardinals. I know Brian's a big Sam Bradford guy. Hasn't started in.
Oh my gosh! I already dropped him off my fantasy team after he gave me like 4 points this past week. It was just wonderful.
So Rams Cardinals. What are you taking?
The Rams this week are actually Vegas's biggest favorite according to the spread. They're 12.5-point favorites, that is a lot.
Yeah.
So I think just by that, you could probably tell who I'm going to pick. I'm going to go with the Rams. The Rams are absolutely loaded with talent compared to the Cardinals, who just kind of suck and have Sam Bradford as their quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Sam Bradford does much better than he did last week, and I think the Rams defense is a lot better than the Redskins defense.
Yeah, significantly better.
Sorry. Two teams that kind of disappointed week 1, the Lions and the 49ers. Who do you got here, Brian?
Wait, let me find this on my little cheat sheet here.
All right.
Detroit last week lost to the Jets 48-17, and keep in mind I just said the Jets. The Jets beat the Lions 48-17 with Sam Darnold in his first ever start. So.
And they started that game with a pick 6.
Yeah, which is, I don't know. The Detroit looked absolutely abysmal in week 1. That was not a good start for Matt Patricia. And I don't even think San Francisco has to be that great this week to come out on top. They're 5.5-point favorites, and they're in San Francisco. So that gives me all the reason to go with Jimmy G.
Yeah, I think the Lions are trash. And I think 49ers played a decent game last week, so we'll go 49ers. Oakland versus Denver next game at 4:25.
I am going to go with Denver. They're 5.5-point favorites in Denver. Oakland actually looked pretty good for like the first half last week, believe it or not, which
Yeah.
like really shocked me because I thought they were going to be really, really bad because John Gruden is their head coach. But I mean, Jared Cook was like their best weapon, which is
He
like
went off.
I don't know, it's just surprise. Like, how is Jared Cook your like best offensive piece? I don't know, but
Yeah.
I just don't think that Denver has a pretty solid defense, and I think their offense will be just enough to overcome Oakland.
I like Oakland in this game. I think John Gruden needs to get Amari Cooper involved more. I think Amari Cooper is a pretty good wide receiver, and he had like one catch last week.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go Oakland here. I think they played better, and I don't think Denver's that good. I don't think Case Keenum's all that. Let's go to New England versus Jacksonville, rematch of the championship game last year.
I am going to go with Jacksonville, even though I picked New England on my little cheat sheet here, because I just don't think, maybe if this is a playoff game again, I would probably choose New England.
Keep in mind Fournette might not play with a hamstring injury.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's kind of a game changer. Maybe I'll go back to New England then. I don't know. I think this should still be a very close game, even if Fournette does not play. They're in Jacksonville, which obviously helps the Jaguars. The Patriots are 2-point favorites. And believe it or I did not know this, but until I had read this a little bit earlier, Tom Brady has set a record for the number of times that he has beaten a single opponent, and it's against the Jaguars, and it's
Really?
8 times. So if he wins this Sunday, he will push it to 9 times, which will further his record, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is.
So,
crazy. All right, I'm going to go Jacksonville. I like Jacksonville's defense. I think they looked really good last week. I don't think New England's offensive line can handle that defensive line. So I'm going to go Jacksonville. You're going to go New England. Last game, the Sunday night game, or second to last game, Giants versus Dallas. Who you got here?
I think that either of these teams are very good. Eli Manning looked really, really bad last week. Here's a bold iron. Maybe like mid-season, but definitely by the end of the season. Yeah, I do not think that Dallas will be good this year. I don't really think the Giants will be very good this year. I think that Saquon will look pretty good this week. And I don't know, this is like a toss-up for me. I'm going to go with the Giants, even though Dallas is 3-point favorites and they're in Dallas.
Yeah, I think Dallas looked pretty disappointing last week. I think Ezekiel Elliott looked pretty bad.
Yeah.
Even though he had 70 yards and a touchdown. I mean, Dak Prescott looked pretty shitty too. So I'm gonna go New York here. I like Saquon. I think he'll have a better game than he did last week, even though he had 126 yards. All right, let's go last game. Seattle versus Chicago. 2 disappointing teams from week 1. Who fixes it in week 2?
I am going to go with my favorite team, the Bears. I couldn't believe when I saw this, they're actually favorites in a game for once, which, I mean, I think I could count on like one hand the number of times they've been favorites in like the past 2 or 3 seasons. So they're 3.5-point favorites. They're in Chicago. It's the Monday night game. And I think if the first half of the Bears-Packers game from this past week was like any kind of like scale or like gauge of what the Bears front seven will be like this year, I think that they just have to look like half as good as that to just absolutely destroy the Seahawks offensive line. So I think that Russell Wilson will get sacked like at least 7 times this coming up week because their offensive line is terrible.
And no Doug Baldwin for Seattle.
Yeah, which is a pretty huge loss in my opinion. I mean, I don't know. He's your number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah.
That's always like a big hit to a team. So yeah, I think the Bears front seven will like absolutely dominate Seattle and they will come out on top.
Yeah, I think the Bears hopefully recovered from last week's game. I know that was a pretty disappointing game. It's going to be
An understatement.
The Bears could come out, completely just distraught, completely, still thinking of the game last week, and they could end up losing this game. But I think the Bears are in a good position to beat Seattle. Obviously, Khalil Mack going against that offensive line of Seattle. I'll go Bears here, but I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle got the win.
I see you're saying that there's a chance that the Bears might come out distraught. I say it's going to be the exact opposite. I think the first half, or at least the first quarter of this game will be very competitive. Both of these teams are going to be angry that they lost.
So Coach Nagy's going to turn it around like that?
Absolutely. Did you see the first? You did see the first half of last week. I know that's not they're playing out of their mind, but still.
His offense is on tape now, though. Packers didn't
It's 1 week. It's 1 week.
I'm just saying. I could see it. But whoever loses this game, I think their season they need to fix it pretty fast. They'll both start 0-2 then, whoever loses.
Yeah. No, that is true. It would be crazy if the Seattle Seahawks were 0-2 to start the year.
Or the Bears.
They've been so dominant the past few years. The Bears would not be so crazy. I mean, they had the number 3 pick 2 years ago and another top 10 pick last year. That's not exactly surprising that team would go 0-2.
Yeah, but they drafted 2 busts with those 2 picks.
2 busts?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mitch Trubisky's a bust. Already saying that.
Roquan Smith didn't do anything last week.
He had a sack. He played 5 plays and had a sack.
Yeah, why did he only play 5 plays?
Because he missed that last week was the first full week of practice that he had because he tweaked his hamstring.
Oh yeah, and he was holding out because he likes to get that money, right?
Yeah.
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 All right.
He likes to get that money.
All right. Well, that's it, Brian. Thank you for calling in today, giving your picks. We'll check out what happens on Tuesday. We'll go through it again, all right?
Well, I guarantee all my picks are correct. So,
really?
all you listeners out there, you can just feel free to check it, go down the list, and just know that I'll be right for everyone.
I know Truman's looking for you, though. He wants to talk to you about Sunday's game.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of hard to get to right now, so hard to reach.
I called you 4 times. You didn't answer once on Sunday night.
I specifically remember looking at my phone and pressing decline and decline and decline and decline. That's 4 declines.
We were sitting here trying to call you, and you kept hanging up on us.
It was a very dark point in my life as a Bears fan. Probably the darkest of all points.
Hopefully Monday will be better, right?
Of course. Maybe for both of us, Maybe we'll both come out on top.
Yeah, that'd be good to see, I like you, Brian. I don't want you to, kill yourself over the Bears,
Yeah, I don't know. After last week, hopefully that doesn't happen again. Otherwise, I might not be here too longer.
All right, Brian. Thank you for calling in, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, thank you for having me.
Yep, bye.
All right, bye.
That interview is brought to you by D's Home Cuts. As you know, D's is our go-to place around Northeast Ohio. It is the go-to place around Northeast Ohio for a great haircut at a low price. For only $7, D's will provide you with a modern haircut and styling. Truman and I have been getting our haircut at D's for the last couple of months, and let me tell you, we have never looked or felt better. Every time you're going to go into the shop, they're going to give you a professional cut, and they get better every single time because Dom is always upgrading his equipment so he can give you the best haircut possible. You can find D's Home Cuts on Twitter or Instagram at D's Home Cuts. Instagram is probably the best place because you can easily set up an appointment directly in his bio, and it's just a great place to go. It's cheap. You won't find a cheap haircut, and you won't find a better haircut in Northeast Ohio. So D's Home Cuts, professional haircuts at a low price. So we want to thank you to Brian for coming on today, taking time out of his busy college schedule to give us his picks. I'm thinking about doing that more, having guys call in, on Wednesday and give their picks. It's better than just having me do it because, it's easier with somebody else in the studio. But other than that, we're going to go into baseball now. Baseball, it's heating up. I think the Red Sox just clinched, and I know for a fact that the Indians are about to clinch this week, and I think their magic number's at 3, even though they just had a rough series with the Rays. But this series it's not the series, so I guess it just ended. The Brewers and Cubs. I know Truman would love to talk about this. Brian's a big Cubs fan too. But this series, it's getting tight. This division lead that the Cubs had for a long time is shrinking. It's now at 1 game. The Brewers won last night versus the Cubs 5-1. This series is tightening up. I highly suggest you watch it this weekend. You watch the Brewers and Cubs, see what they're doing each game, because it's getting tighter and tighter, this division lead that the Cubs have. So we're going to bring in more. We're going to give you more information on Tuesday actually, sorry. Hopefully one team will pull away or one team will pull ahead, either or. Obviously every Tuesday we give you our updated playoff rankings. Standings, whatever. But the other thing in baseball I wanted to talk about real quick, obviously with the playoffs starting up, there's going to be a lot more of certain teams on TV than usual. Like the Braves, the Rockies, those type of guys. The Cardinals. You don't really get to see them a lot on main TV, but obviously with the playoffs, it's going to be everywhere. So I wanted to give you a couple key names for you to watch. Guys that I think are going to take that next step and really break out in the playoffs and become, those playoff superstars that the teams are going to be relying on to make plays. So I want to start in Atlanta. Joan Camargo from the Braves. He's their third baseman, I believe. This is a guy I know because I picked him up in my fantasy league, play fantasy baseball. I'm in the playoffs right now, no big deal. This is a guy I know because he has taken off in his second half. The second half of the season, he's batting .317. I think he's got 12 home runs. He's a little guy. He's a perfect comparison with Ozzie Albies and Acuna. He's part of that big 3 young core that they have, especially when you put Freddie Freeman on top. They really have a solid core of batters, and that's what makes the Braves so dangerous. He's somebody I think is going to burst onto the scenes. His name's not as well known because obviously they have Ozzie Albies, Freddie Freeman, and Acuna in that lineup, but he's a dangerous guy. So Joan Camargo with the Braves. Another guy, German Marquez from the Rockies, I believe. He's a starting pitcher. This is a guy I think is going to get some solid playoff starting time, especially if the Rockies win their division and get into that the next round of the series and they don't have to go in the wild card game, because he won't be the pitcher in the wild card game. But he is going to start a game, I think. And this is somebody, he's young. He's 23 years old, and they're going to put him out there in a playoff game. I truly believe it. He's got a great fastball. He's working on his slider right now. Scouts everywhere are saying how mature this guy is. He's only 23, and he's extremely mature, and he is just ready to get this big moment on. And he's had a pretty solid season. He's had 9 straight quality starts. I think he's starting tonight or in the next couple of days here. So I highly recommend you keep an eye on that name, German Marquez. And the last guy for the Cardinals, their center fielder, right fielder combo there with Harrison Bader. He is a Rookie of the Year candidate. He has had a great year as a rookie. Like I said, .768 on-base percentage, which is insane. These names, all 3 of these names aren't well known. But come playoff time, when they start making plays, people are going to start to recognize them as people are going to start to know them. So I highly recommend you start, looking up these guys now if you want to impress, your friends with your knowledge of baseball come playoff time. So with that, we're going to move now to basketball. Like I said, basketball, we haven't gotten a lot of headlines. Training camp's starting up here soon. We're going to go to the one minor headline. I guess you could say Russell Westbrook, one of the best players in the NBA. He's key at arthroscopic surgery on his knee. I guess that means he's completely out for the entire preseason, which is not a huge deal. And as soon as the preseason's over, I think they got to wait 4 weeks, and they'll be able to decide this more. He might miss the first couple of games, which is kind of big because I know they play the Warriors early on. And I know, like I said, Russell Westbrook really is the key to that team. But they're in a lot better shape than they were last year if this would have happened, because I do have Dennis Schroeder. He's started a lot of games at point guard for the Hawks. He knows how to run an offense. He knows how to be a starter in the NBA. So having that backup is really going to help them out until Russell gets back. But this is a big blow for the Thunder. Usually you want to get off to a quick, hot start, and I don't think they're going to be able to do that. That's just something to keep an eye on. I think, like I said, 4 weeks, he'll be back, ready to be reevaluated again. But if he's not ready by the end of those 4 weeks, he's going to miss the first couple of games. Because I think it's 4 weeks. Preseason's starting up here soon, and then 4 weeks, and then, we're back at opening night. It's usually around Halloween, I believe, that the NBA really starts to open up. So keep an eye on that. With that, though, we're going to move now to some segments. But before that, got to talk about my guy, Andrew, at A's Lawn Service. Since 2014, A's has been providing professional landscaping to many homes around Northeast Ohio. By using professional equipment and low prices, A's constantly strives to provide families with the best landscaping experience possible at a low and fair price. It's getting, like I said, we're getting that prime sports season. Football on every weekend, playoff baseball on every week. The pennant race, those division races are starting to heat up. Cubs, Brewers. You're not going to want to spend your free time doing your lawn, blowing leaves, cutting the grass, all that boring stuff. Turn to A's, turn to Andrew, and trust me, your lawn and your home will never look better. It's a fair price. It's a bunch of young kids that really know what they're doing, really trying to make a name for themselves in the landscaping business like we are in the podcasting and radio business. So, I support him, and I know he'll do a great job for you. The phone number is 330-241-2392. Again, 330-241-2392. And the email is lawnservice.a's@gmail.com. Don't complain about lawn service. If I hear you complaining and you listen to our show, it makes no sense for you to complain when you can just call A's Lawn Service, and all your complaints, all your worries, all your stresses will be gone because he'll take care of it. Make sure you have a great and professional looking lawn. A's Lawn Service LLC. You grow it, we cut it. All right. We're now going to transition into more of some segments. We're going to do our, strange non-sports story of the week. So, like I said, this is a segment we like to do every now and then, usually on Thursdays. We talk about stories that aren't in the headlines, maybe, aren't in the major news headlines, aren't all about politics and boring crap like that. And it's not just sports. Give you something to talk about, make you sound smart in front of your friends. So this story comes out of the great state of Ohio, state near and dear to my heart. I forget where this was. I don't know exactly. This takes place at a Giant Eagle, though. A Giant Eagle deli counter in Ohio. I think they said about 30 minutes south of Cleveland, so probably right around my area, but I'm not exactly sure where it was. So a deli worker at Giant Eagle was arrested this week for allegedly eating over $9,200 worth of deli meat over the last 8 years. So I guess what she did, if I read this right, is she every day she worked at the deli counter. She would take a few slices of meat, a deli meat, and eat it every single day for 8 years. And I guess somehow they figured that out and realized that costed about $9,200 worth of meat. She got arrested. I think she's in jail right now. Personally, I think this is kind of stupid. I feel like if you kind of prepare for that type of stuff. If you are a grocery store manager, you realize that people who work in the deli, it's really easy. They give out free samples all the time to just take a few slices of ham every now and then. You can't expect deli workers to not try the product. I get it. Maybe this is a little excessive, a couple slices every single day, but I'm not exactly sure how they exactly figured out it was about $9,200 worth of it. And I feel like that's hard to prove, but because a lot of things go on, I feel like in a deli with like stuff falling into the trash and stuff like that. But I guess they caught her somehow. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know what the jail time is for something like this. I guess it's theft, but I don't know. I would kind of let it go. You kind of factor that into your budget, your breakage type of thing. But that was our strange non-sports story of the week. Now we're going to talk about a minor sports that we don't usually talk about, some of the headlines there. We do baseball, basketball, football every single show. We don't talk about tennis that often. But tennis was in the news this week with Serena Williams. Her meltdown, I guess you could say, on the court. Again, I'm not a tennis guy. I'm not exactly sure what happened. But if I can piece this together, don't quote me on it. But from what I could tell, she got mad, I guess, because the refs penalized her for coaching, saying that she got unfair coaching. She got mad, said she wasn't coaching, and she ended up losing the match. I think she lost the whole tournament. I think that was the championship game. But if you watch the video, I get it. You know, the women in tennis are a lot, more penalized for stupid things. I know a girl got penalized because she took off her shirt. She had a sports bra on under it. She took off her shirt because it was inside out, and she got penalized for that, even though men do that all the time. So I get what she's talking about, but I think she kind of overblew it. It was a wild video. It was like 6 minutes long of her just complaining. I wasn't even sure if this was a real video or just some sort of like prank type of thing. She way overblew it. I get it. You lost. It sucks. You don't feel like you lost fairly. I'm not sure who the winner was. The name is slipping me right now of the tournament, but it's kind of annoying because Serena Williams, she lost, and it kind of looked like to me like she was just a sore loser. If you really hate, the call, talk about it off the court. Don't do it on the court, because you took away from the girls' championship. The girls win. Like I said, I don't even know her name right now. We're not even talking about her right now because you had to make this such a big scene. But I get it. I understand why you're angry about it, but please don't, ruin somebody's moment just because you lost. And from what I read online, a couple tweets here and there. I guess she was being coached. I don't know if some of the tennis people want to, DM us on Twitter and tell us what she did wrong, or what she didn't do wrong. Go ahead and do that because this story confuses me. To me, it just looked like she was complaining because she lost. And she overblew it, I think, a little bit too much. And the ref was just sitting there, completely confused because, Serena doesn't blow up like this, and she did. I guess she just got sick of it. But I mean, this dude's sitting there on his little tower, completely confused as to what to do at the moment. I think he penalized her again for taunting or threatening the ref or something like that. It was just a wild scene in tennis, and that's why we're talking about it. But that's it for the tennis talk of the week. We're not big tennis guys, like I said. But we're going to go into some questions that were submitted by the listeners. We got 2 questions here. I split one up into 2 questions, so it's basically 3 questions. If you listen to the interview, we talked about it a little bit. Ryan Fitzpatrick. Should Jameis Winston be worried about his starting job? No. I don't think so. Truman has a little bit more of a stronger theory on this, but Fitzpatrick has been so inconsistent over his career that people are going to expect him to have the weeks like that. Now, if he comes out and he leads, I think James is suspended 3 games. If he does that type of thing, Fitzpatrick, if he throws 5 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns every single week, and he makes them 3-0, it's a problem for Dirk Cutter, and we'll talk about it then. But I want to see what he does this week before Jameis should be worried. I don't think he should be worried at this point. He is their franchise guy. I don't like Jameis Winston. I'm not a huge fan. But he's going to have to step it up this year, though. Because I think this is going to humble him a little bit, this experience. Next question we got submitted was, who are some week 1 stars, breakout players that you think are going to, fall back a little bit? So I'm going to answer that. But I wanted to add on week 1 stars that didn't perform very well that I think will perform a lot better. So we'll go with the stars first. Kenny Stills. He broke out week 1. He had 2 touchdowns in his matchup versus the Titans, I believe. He played really, really, really well, considering the fact Tannehill's not known to be, this great quarterback. He played well in Jarvis Landry's exit. He's kind of stepped up. And obviously, Devontae Parker didn't play in that game either. But Danny Amendola was kind of the talk of that wide receiver core, and Kenny Stills really put himself in that position. Now, he's shown he's been a decent wide receiver. Does he become a number 1 guy? I don't see it. I think he's going to regress the next couple of weeks, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did. Same with the next guy, Jared Cook. Jared Cook leads the league in receiving yards right now. He had a ridiculous game on Monday night versus the Rams, which is no slouch of a defense. But I think that John Gruden is going to get Amari Cooper a little bit more involved. and I think teams are going to start keying on Jared Cook. So I think he'll regress a little bit, but he's still a good tight end. And Kenny Stills is still a good wide receiver. Now, the two people who didn't perform well week 1, I think will perform a lot better, are from the same team, Dak and Zeke. I think Zeke Elliott, he had a bad game. People were saying it was 70 yards and a touchdown. So, his bad game is, other running backs, good games. He's not going to have that bad of a week again. I think he realizes that he's going to have to step up. I think he will step up next week, and I think Dak realizes that too. I'm not a huge fan of Dak Prescott. I don't really like him as a quarterback or as a person, but I think he's a decent quarterback. I think he'll be better. Dallas is just kind of lost with talent on the outside. They're still trying to find a guy who can step up and be the number 1 guy, number 2 guy. Cole Beasley's been there for a while, but he's not a number 1 or 2 guy. He's a decent third option slot receiver. But Dak's going to have to make these guys talented on his own. There's no more Des Bryant. There's no more Jason Witten. 2, top-of-the-line targets when they're at the top of their game. I know Des slowly regressed over the last couple of years. But they're really going to have to step up. Dak's really going to have to step up. He's going to have to make guys like Allen Hurns, Gallup, Terrence Williams. He's going to have to make those guys better than what they are, because that's what great quarterbacks do. Tom Brady has made a lot of bad wide receivers into decent targets to good targets. Same with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. They made, guys like, I'm not going to hate on, we'll say Greg Jennings. Greg Jennings was a good wide receiver, but he wasn't great when he came to the league, and Aaron Rodgers really made him really good. And Brett Favre, can't take anything away from him, but guys like James Jones, Wes Welker in New England, Tom Brady, sorry. Wes Welker, Danny Amendola, I think made him a lot better. So it's up to the good quarterbacks to really make your weapons. I don't think the weapons make the quarterback. I think the quarterback makes the weapons, if that makes sense. But Dak's going to have to step up, I think. I think lack of weapons around you is a poor excuse when you're a quarterback in the NFL. So, like I said, that's it for the show today. We want to thank you to our sponsors, D's Home Cuts and A's Lawn Service. We want to thank you to Brian Leonard for coming on today and giving us his time. I know the audio was a little screwed up, but I thank you guys for listening today. We ask that you go onto iTunes, give us 5 stars, rate, review us, and subscribe. You can follow us on Twitter at TNT Sports Talk 12. That's where you send in all your DMs, all your questions, your comments, concerns. Our DMs are always open. You don't even have to follow us, although we would like a follow. And Instagram, go ahead and give us a follow on that too. I know we haven't posted in a while. That's Truman's fault. But give us a follow on that, because you can always ask questions on that. Listen to us tomorrow on 12 ounce from 12 to 1 at your lunch break in between classes. Listen to us on YouTube if you are a Android user. But other than that, thank you. Have a great day. Tune in on Tuesday where we're going to break down each NFL game. We got some other things in the pack, in our sack right now that we're going to bring out here soon. So stay tuned on the Twitter. We got some exciting things coming up. I don't want to say it out loud, because once you say it out loud, it doesn't happen. But a couple, maybe some more interviews, some new segments, some new guests type of thing going on TNT Sports Talk. So I thank you. I know it was a little bit better today because I wasn't talking for the full 50 minutes, but we thank you for listening, and we thank you for your support, and have a great day. Enjoy the NFL and college football this weekend. Other than that, we'll see you on Tuesday. Thanks, guys.